When your cat hears you say their name, do you actually know whether they understand it or just ignore you on purpose? Yes, it looks like selective hearing, but behind that familiar flick of the ear, there's something most owners completely miss. And if you misunderstand how your cat processes the words you say to them every single day, which almost everyone does, you could be ignoring a connection they've been quietly building with you through language itself. Let's start with the one word that surprises everyone. 1. Your cat knows their own name, and they've known it for a long time. Have you ever called your cat from across the room and watched them do that thing where one ear swivels toward you, maybe the tail twitches once, but they don't move? And then you call them again and they just slowly blink and look away. Most people take that as proof their cat doesn't know their name. They laugh it off. My cat doesn't listen. My cat doesn't care. But here's what most people don't realize. Your cat absolutely recognized what you said. They processed it. They chose not to respond. And that choice is actually more meaningful than obedience ever could be. Cats are not pack animals. They didn't evolve in hierarchies where responding to a leader meant survival. Their ancestors were solitary hunters in desert environments where independence wasn't a personality trait, it was a survival strategy. So when a domestic cat learns to associate a specific human sound with themselves, that's not obedience being trained into them. That's a voluntary cognitive link they've allowed to form because of you. A 2019 study published in Scientific Reports from researchers at Sophia University in Tokyo found that cats can distinguish their own name from other words with similar phonetic patterns, even when spoken by strangers. Their ears moved, their heads shifted, their pupils dilated. They knew. They just didn't always act on it. That's not stubbornness, that's autonomy. Your cat learned the one sound in the entire human language that means them, and they learned it because your voice made it matter. That's not ignoring you. That's listening on their own terms. And if that already changes how you see your cat, wait until we get to the last point in this video. Because there's one word your cat responds to that has nothing to do with language and everything to do with how safe you make them feel. It might be the most vulnerable thing in this whole video. 2. Your cat understands no far more than you think, they just disagree with it. Ever caught your cat reaching for something on the counter and the second you say no, they freeze? Not jump away, not run, freeze. Eyes locked on you like they're weighing their options. Most owners think their cat doesn't understand what no means. But what if they understand it perfectly and are making a conscious decision about whether the consequence is worth it? Cats are highly sensitive to vocal tone, pitch, and rhythm. When you say no with a short, firm drop in pitch, it mimics the kind of warning sound that feral cats use with each other, a brief, sharp vocalization that signals a boundary. Your cat's nervous system registers that shift instantly. Cortisol levels nudge upward. Muscles engage. They're not confused, they're calculating. A 2020 study from the University of Sussex found that cats can differentiate between human vocal tones associated with approval and disapproval, and they adjust their behavior based on the emotional valence of the sound, not the word itself. So when your cat hears no and pauses, that's not them failing to understand. That's them recognizing a boundary you've set and choosing how to respond. They're not disobedient. They're independent thinkers processing your words in real time. Think about what that actually means. You're having a negotiation with a 4-kilogram predator, and sometimes they let you win. 3. Your cat has learned what the sound of food language means, and it's not just Pavlov. Here's something that might surprise you. Have you ever whispered the word treat or dinner in a completely normal tone, not near the kitchen, not near a bag of food, and watched your cat's head snap up from a dead sleep? Most people chalk this up to basic conditioning. The cat hears the word, expects food, end of story. But that explanation massively undersells what's actually happening in your cat's brain. Cats form what behavioral scientists call referential associations. They're not just responding to a sound paired with food. They're building a mental map between specific words, specific outcomes, and specific people. Your cat doesn't react the same way to a stranger saying treat. They've linked your voice, that word, and the feeling of being cared for into a single emotional package. In the wild, a cat would never associate a sound from another species with something positive. That kind of cross-species trust simply doesn't happen. Every unfamiliar sound is a potential threat. But your cat heard a word from your mouth and instead of running, built a bridge toward it. That's not a conditioned reflex. That's a relationship they've encoded into memory. They're not just hearing a word, they're hearing you. 4. They recognize the specific way you say, "Come here," and they've memorized it. Ever noticed that your cat sometimes comes when you call them, but only when you use that exact phrase, that exact pitch, that exact little sing-song rhythm you always use? Change the words slightly and they don't move. Let someone else say it and nothing happens. And here's what most people don't realize. Your cat hasn't just learned a command. They've memorized you. The specific acoustic signature of your voice saying those words in that way has been filed away in their brain like a fingerprint. A 2022 study published in Animal Cognition from researchers at the University of Paris-Nanterre found that cats can distinguish their owner's voice from a stranger's voice, and they show significantly higher behavioral responses, including ear movement, pupil dilation, and increased locomotion when hearing their owner speak in a cat-directed tone. This means your cat isn't just processing language, they're processing identity. They know who is speaking, how they're speaking, and what that specific combination has meant in the past. They've built an acoustic profile of you that no other voice in the world can trigger. They're not responding to words, they're responding to you. And the fact that they've taken the time to memorize the exact texture of your voice is not a small thing. That's an animal choosing to let one specific human into their world. 5. Your cat understands soothing words, not the meaning, but the meaning behind the meaning. This is where it gets important. Have you ever talked to your cat when they were scared? Maybe during a thunderstorm, or after a loud noise, or at the vet. You lean in and say something soft. "It's okay. You're fine. I'm right here." And slowly their breathing changes. The muscles in their back relax. Their eyes soften. They didn't understand a single word you said, but they understood everything. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery found that cats exposed to calming human speech during veterinary exams showed measurably lower stress indicators, including reduced cortisol levels and less defensive posturing, compared to cats examined in silence. Your cat can read emotional prosody, the music underneath your language. When you slow your words, drop your pitch, and soften your volume, your cat's nervous system reads that as safety. Not because of what you said, but because of how you said it. In feral colonies, cats don't vocalize to soothe each other. That behavior barely exists. So when your cat calms down at the sound of your voice, they're doing something they were never built to do. They're trusting a completely different species to regulate their fear. That's not instinct. That's a bond they chose to build. 6. Your cat has a word for you, and they use it every single day. Remember at the beginning of this video when I told you there was one word your cat responds to that has nothing to do with language and everything to do with how safe you make them feel? This is it. Your cat has a specific meow that they only use with you, not with other cats, not with strangers. You. A particular pitch, a particular length, a particular rhythm that they developed over months or years of living with you, designed to communicate with you and only you. A 2019 study published in Current Biology found that adult cats almost never meow at each other. Meowing is a behavior that domestic cats develop specifically to communicate with humans, and over time individual cats create unique vocalizations tailored to their specific owner's responsiveness. Think about what that actually means. Your cat invented a language for you. They studied what sounds get your attention, what tones make you respond, what pitch makes you come closer, and they refined that language over hundreds of interactions until they had a word, their word, that works only on you. In the wild, a cat would never do this. A wild cat would never create a sound designed to make another species come closer. Every instinct in their body tells them that vulnerability gets you killed. But your cat looked at you and decided that you were the exception, that you were worth building a language for. An animal that is hardwired for silence, for independence, for self-preservation, is choosing to speak because you taught them that their voice would be heard. That's not just communication. That's the deepest form of trust an animal can offer. Every time your cat's ear twitched at their name, every time they froze at no, every time they came running at the sound of your voice, they were learning you. And every time they look up at you and let out that one small sound that no one else in the world gets to hear, that's not just a meow. That's everything you built together, spoken in a language only the two of you share.